Steve Hart from BBCE has responded to the controversy around the 86 Fleer basketball box that was broken. Might have had a little bit of an issue with it. We aren't really sure. He says that it looks to be legit and it looks to maybe be a little bit of an anomaly, a glitch in the matrix, if you will. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. It is another day, actually a double header. What I'm probably going to do is not do a video tomorrow, just have two videos today. We've got some pool stuff. I've got yard work to do. We've got all sorts of different things we've got going on, but I thought I would just squeeze this one in as this is an important story to follow, I think. And then also there's some learning lessons, I think, to take away from it. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button if you do like what you hear. We are building it out. We are building it.
All this time, we've been building it.
And we very much appreciate your support. So going back to the video from a couple of days ago, there was a 1986 Fleer basketball box that was broken at the National, the largest card show on the planet. And it was opened by big influencers, Ryan, Card Collector 2, Pac-Man, etc. There was some interesting things about the box. Now, there were Jordan rookie cards in the box, so it's not as if there wasn't any huge pulls or any of that stuff, but there was a couple of packs that had, for example, 5 Johnson cards in a row. And with 86 Fleer, there's really mainly a sequencing that goes along with it, to where if you watch box breaks of 86 Fleer boxes cases, a lot of times if they're experienced, you can tell because they will see, like Clark Kellogg, for example, they'll see the card that's coming, the sequence, they'll recognize the sequence, and then there will be that Jordan card. So 86 Fleer was printed with a sequence in place for the most part. Now, what we don't know is, was every last single box that was printed by 86 Fleer, did it all have that sequencing? Or, as Steve would say at BBCE, were there some anomalies? And I think the big thing to take away here is, in kind of the defense, it's somewhat of a perfect defense, really, if you are Steve Hart and BBCE, because really it's, hey, prove to me that all the boxes of 86 Fleer had a specific sequencing the way that it is. They recognize here that there is that sequencing. So this isn't like a made up thing. There is that sequencing. But essentially what they are saying is, number one, prove it. Prove that this box, show a video from 1985, 86, when this stuff was being manufactured or being put in it, that it didn't have certain cards in it. It didn't have proper sequencing. Now, the other thing about this story is that Steve says he replaced the 2 packs from the box. 2 packs didn't quite look right, so he put 2 authentic packs in with the box. I think the thought is, when you're buying a box like this is that you have all the same packs from the original box. And in reality, I think with a lot of these vintage boxes, as I've done more research on this, it's far more common that you had boxes that were half, maybe they sold half the box and then put other packs from other boxes. In other words, mixed packs in these boxes, forming a Transformers box.
One shall stand, one shall fall. Why throw away your life so recklessly?
Whatever you want to call it. I guess Frankenstein box is what's going around. But I think that Frankenstein boxes are fairly common, more common than not when we're talking about vintage stuff. Now, maybe not modern stuff, ultra modern stuff. And I think that's where there's going to be some differences. And also we'll talk about like what can be done about this moving forward. With vintage boxes, I think this is going to be a struggle. I don't think that it's going to be very easy unless there's some amazing technology that comes into the space to be able to see what's inside boxes, that's able to decipher kind of what is what without completely breaking it all up. And I don't know if that's really possible, but hey, there's a lot of startups in the hobby, right? There are tons of different startups. The sealed wax part of the hobby could use a little bit of love on the startup side, or companies that are already in place, maybe building out better systems to be able to figure this stuff out. Now, also, if you're BBCE, you need to recognize this is kind of one of those, you need to know what you're getting into. On their website, they are very clear about what they guarantee, and what they guarantee is nothing. So I'll just read it right off of their site. Authentication involves individual judgments that are subjective and require the exercise of professional opinion, which can change from time to time. Therefore, BBCE makes no warranty or representation and shall have no liability whatsoever to customers for the determination of authenticity that was assigned by BBCE to any item. So you heard, it's right there. Zero liability. So the fact is that Steve is a guy that's been in the hobby for a long time. You could say he has expertise in this. He does. He's probably authenticated boatloads of stuff that is legit, that is real for sure. Absolutely. And it's not to say that this 86 Fleer isn't real. These are real cards that came out of the box. But I think that where there's a little bit of a wonder or something about this is, should it be marketed as this is a box? Should it be marketed differently? Should it be marketed as this is a repackage? This box contains packs from various boxes from 1986. If that's more of the norm, maybe that should be part of the marketing when we're getting into these massive 5-figure and 6-figure sales. And unfortunately, I don't think that it really is. I think that it's kind of like, hey, we don't want to bring, that could be perceived as negative. And I'm speculating here. I'm not involved in any sort of sealed wax. I don't own, actually, I do have some 2017 select NASCAR boxes. So yes, I do have some sealed wax, very, very limited, very extremely limited. So I don't have some sort of expertise in this. I'm just looking at it from the outside and trying to apply common sense and pass that along to you all and just have an open dialogue conversation about it. Now, I was trying to find this, but I saw that I believe Steve had said that there were like grader's notes essentially, or notes on this that were passed down when he made his determination. And I think that is something, again, and look, maybe this is something when these are being auctioned off, when they're being sold, maybe the grader's notes are out there for everybody to see. I have not seen yet where someone is selling a expensive sealed box where it says, sealed or repackaged or replaced 2 packs, because I feel like I would remember that if I was looking at a listing somewhere, and I don't know, maybe they have. And again, that's something I would like in the comments. If you are a sealed wax person, maybe I'm ignorant to this. Maybe these sales include this sort of disclosure. I don't really know, but I just know if I'm buying a 5-figure, hell, a 4-figure box, if it's a $500 box, I would like to know if 2 packs were replaced in it with other packs. If it's a 1982 Topps football box, I'm just throwing stuff out there. And frankly, that would be a lot more than $500. But that's, I think, the main point, especially for new people coming into the hobby or people getting back in. I think just more transparency around those sorts of things or disclosures would really be helpful. And maybe it does ding the price some. Maybe it's like, oh, okay, the 2 packs were replaced because they looked a little funky. So, the resale is a little bit lower on this one. It's kind of like with electronics where it's like new, used, refurbished. I want a little bit more information, especially if you're spending massive money. And for crooks out there, if they know that the sealed wax is never going to be opened, then that's what they're banking on. That is what they are banking on, is that this stuff is never going to be open. And for the most part, a lot of it has not. I think the biggest takeaway is just understanding what you're getting into. Authentication, all authentication companies make mistakes. They all do. Some have guarantees, some don't have guarantees. But for people getting into this market, into the collectibles market, it's very different than many other markets. So understanding all the risks going into these types of transactions. And I guess I just hope that with a lot of the vintage stuff, there is just more of the story behind the actual stuff. Where did the box come from or the case come from? Do we have a lineage? Do we have who bought it and whatever? The funny thing is I did a video and I got ripped up on it in the comments. David Adams is doing something where now they've got new boxes and cases coming out and they're attaching added security to it. I really hope that at least for new products moving forward, and I'm not saying, look, maybe Dave Adams they're not doing it right. Maybe they are doing it right. I don't know. I've never bought anything from Dave Adams. But my point is that I think that now that they're putting kind of the NFCs, it's a version of NFT, but kind of as a tracking measure. I don't think these are bad ideas. Everyone kind of wants to knock on these different types of technologies and, I love kind of the old hobby the way it is. Well, the old hobby the way it is has a bunch of gunk in it that needs to get kind of figured out if it's really going to be a legitimate alternative investment asset class. I know a lot of people are like, hey, these are not investments. However you want to look at it, if you're spending, $5,000, $10,000, $1,000, $100,000, there's millions of dollars. They are a store of value at a minimum. Okay. So whether you want to call them, okay, maybe it's not paying you dividends or whatever. Maybe, it's not paying you rent for sitting in your house in the closet, but it's still a store of value of some sort. You're putting money into it with the idea that maybe it's worth something higher moving forward. Now, look, my Bobby Hebert rookie cards, as I said, I'm not anticipating those going up in value. There's the PC part as well. But in this instance, when we're talking about six-figure boxes and million-dollar cards and cases and all that stuff, those people aren't buying it just to be cutesy old collectors. I think they care about, if it's worth something. If it's fake, they want to know that it's fake. And so, as we've talked about before, added security in this space, the technology. And again, this was kind of a cottage hobby up until a few years back. And so now there's a lot of catch-up. It just feels like there's a lot of catch-up happening, a lot of new startups coming in doing good things. I said it in the last video, I hope that there is more emphasis on security, because there was a lot of, pack skimming, pack checking, opening, repacking. That's something that was very, very common back in the vintage day. So when it comes to sealed wax, sealed boxes, when you're looking at that older stuff, more technology around it. I don't know how you can do it. It would be amazing if somebody could. So anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments here below. Again, the takeaway is just know what you're getting into. It's, just be careful and understand the risk. Understand that six-figure box might have Gremlins cards in it. Actually, it would be kind of sweet. But anyway, I digress. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.